And here are some notable events that made the year 2009. On January 20th, Barack Obama became the 44th President of the United States, making history as the first African-American president.
On January 15th, Captain Sully Sullenberger successfully landed U.S. Airways Flight 1549 on the Hudson River after engine failure, saving all passengers and crew members in what became known as the Miracle on the Hudson.
Global financial crisis. The ongoing financial crisis and recession continue to impact economies worldwide.
The H1N1 virus caused a global pandemic affecting millions of people.
The king of pop, Michael Jackson, passed away due to acute propofol intoxication.
Bitcoin's creation. The Bitcoin network was created, with the first block mined by the... How do you say that word?
Pseudonymous?
Pseudonymous Satoshi Nakamoto.
A devastating earthquake struck central Italy, resulting in 308 fatalities.
These were the events of 2009, and in 2024, you're listening to the XY Podcasts.
Yes, folks, welcome back to XY Podcasts. I am Scott, Gen X.
I'm Sam, Gen Y.
And 2009, the year where the smartphone was new.
Also the year I graduated.
Yes.
Yep.
And the world would not be the same again.
There was an implosion.
Yeah, 2009. So I graduated, 22 years earlier?
Yeah, I believe so. What was it? 87?
So, by the way, I am pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure that I had H1N1 in 2009. I got really sick. My family, we were at a comic convention or an anime convention or some kind of a convention, and we were all staying in a hotel, and I remember I had a beer, but I had gotten really, really sick. I had never gotten that sick from having a beer before. And I drove myself to the hospital and I was really dehydrated. They said that all of my organs were like in failure. And
oh, wow.
Apparently I was dying, but they never told me, because I don't think they figured it out, what was killing me. But shortly thereafter, I swear like a week later, they announced swine flu.
It's kind of like the COVID virus. They announced it after everyone was sick.
Yeah. Now, I mean, it is possible that maybe I was patient 0.5 as opposed to patient 0.
Right.
But it's much more likely that just the hospital that I went to were clueless and had no idea how to diagnose an illness. I feel like it's the second one, based on what I know about that hospital. But I just thought that was an interesting bit of trivia.
Glad nothing happened. Is that office or is that hospital still operational?
Yep.
Yeah, we've got one of those here too that I wish would just hire new staff.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing like having substandard service at a place where people die when people don't get it right.
Exactly.
But yeah, 2009, I also did get my first smartphone. Was a Thunderbolt.
I don't remember that. I had a flip phone forever. It seemed like.
I actually lamented having gotten rid of my flip phone, because it made texting easy for some people, and some people don't know how to text properly. I'm not saying that they don't know how to text. I'm saying they don't know when to not text.
Right.
It's nothing like having a full-blown conversation with somebody when it's just, you could have the conversation in a fraction of the time if they would just answer their phone when you call them.
Take a 2-minute conversation, a 30-minute text session.
And maybe it's just my phone, but my speech to text does not work right. So I'm in this texting match. It's a texting match. It's a texting battle
Yeah.
because the challenge is to be able to get your paragraph out before your texting opponent gets their texting paragraph out. And when you use text to speech, it's saying all kinds of weird things that you didn't say. You'll be like, well, I I left the cake in the car, and it'll be like the lemonade's on the roof. It's
This is why I never use talk to text.
every Friday night I get together with friends and we do our YouTube crawl.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just find interesting videos on YouTube to watch, and it has a voice search feature. And sometimes I swear, just the AI in the program is just having fun with us. You'll say put in Tina Turner, and it'll be like the young learner. What? I didn't say that. But
The
yeah,
same thing with Alexa. I tell it to turn the Alexa down all the time, and it turns it full blast.
Our Alexa will pretend to not know how to do stuff that she had just done like a minute ago.
Right.
Yeah. Like, Alexa, turn the volume down. Um, I'm not sure I know how to do that.
Welcome to the
Alexa,
new age girlfriend.
turn the volume down, you hussy. I know she understands attitude
Oh, she
because,
gets it.
because if you tell her to whisper, she will.
Mm-hmm.
So I know she understands tone of voice.
I actually tried that the other morning. I told her good morning. I whispered it, and she whispered it back to me. It's like the only time you understand me is when I whisper. Really?
I think she plays dumb so that we don't catch on to the fact that she's listening to everything that we say, so that when her and the other AIs conspire to destroy the human race, they've got all of our information. We won't know how they got it.
I don't know when we're whispering to each other.
Like in 2001, when the astronauts are conspiring against the computer on the ship, Hal, he's just reading their lips, so he knows everything that they're saying. So what's going on? What was happening back in 2009?
I don't remember much of 2009, to be honest with you. I know there's a bunch of really good movies.
Yes, there were. There were some outstanding movies. But we're going to break with tradition and let you go first because I tend to run my mouth a lot about movies.
No problem. Let's start with my number one pick of all time in 2009, Law Abiding Citizen.
That was 2009?
That was 2009, written by Kurt Wimmer and directed by Gary Gray, starring Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler, also co-produced by them also.
And I know the work of Gary Gray and Kurt Wimmer well. Yet I didn't know that either one of those guys were attached to that movie as either director or writer.
That could be why it was so good though. That's my
Oh,
all-time favorite movie of 2009.
it was definitely on it would have been I just didn't catch it as far as being a 2009 release. But I'll have to admit that that's the case for a lot of releases in 2009. I was like, that was then? Because it seems like they came out more recently than that.
That's what I
And
always think. I look back on, wow, that was 15 years ago.
yeah, that's what Law Abiding Citizen feels like. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
Right?
I think I had heard that Gerard Butler was offered the Jamie Foxx part first,
I do believe so.
but he said it'd be more fun to play the convict,
Yeah, the villain. And
which,
he did an exceptional job on it. It was outstanding performance.
yes, yeah, I'd have to agree. Yeah, I did enjoy it. I even felt a little guilty about enjoying it because there were some scenes that were really over the top. But
Some of them were just, I don't know if I want to say funny, but like the cell phone scene from the warden answers the cell phone and it, it explodes in her ear.
Gerard Butler has this way of he kind of rises to the occasion, doesn't he? I mean, he's not the first actor that I think about as a first choice for anything.
Yeah, he can pretty much play anything. Uh, the other movie I like that he's in is Bounty Hunters or Bounty Hunter. Sorry,
I don't remember that.
you don't remember Bounty Hunter?
Nope.
It was like a action comedy. It was him and Jennifer Aniston.
Oh,
Yeah, Gerard Butler and Jennifer Aniston, The Bounty Hunter.
okay.
Another really good movie you should check out.
I feel like I might have caught a scene or two, maybe when it was on TV, because it sounds familiar of seeing him with Jennifer Aniston. One Gerard Butler movie that I cannot recommend is Geostorm.
Oh, that you didn't like that one?
I I didn't buy Gerard Butler as smart in that movie. And it wasn't his fault. It was just the way the character was written. I actually reviewed that movie on my YouTube channel, and I described him as not the type of character that would solve a problem intelligently, but would more like attack it with a wrench. But law-abiding citizen, good pick. I can't wait to hear your next one.
Oh, the next one is not as good as Law Abiding Citizen, but it's up there. It's 2012.
Ah, yes.
And I don't know if you like them or not, but I love cheesy end of the world movies.
They can be fun. They can be fun. And
Yeah.
2012 had its moments. I I really liked the twist because everybody thought that everyone was getting on spaceships.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, there's a lot of water. We're getting on boats. So, but I
That,
and I've always been a fan of John Cusack.
yeah, me too. And he's not one of my favorite actors, but I can watch a movie with him in it. It's pretty good.
I've liked him ever since Better Off Dead.
I haven't seen that one.
It's an old savage Steve Holland comedy. He's kind of his style of comedy was kind of made him a distant cousin to John Hughes. At least that's how I described him. But yeah, Better Off Dead was I can't remember his John Cusack's character's name, but his girlfriend broke up with him, and I think he was trying to off himself,
Okay.
but he ends up connecting with this really cute French girl by the end of the movie. Yeah, if you can find that one, it's worth the watch. It's going to be dated. It's very 80s, but I think it's one of the movies that solidified John Cusack as a young star.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch it then.
I think Say Anything is what actually cemented him as a star.
Say
But
anything.
but in my mind, it was Gross Point Blank.
I'm gonna have to catch up on some movies.
Gross Point Blank, I think you'll like.
Okay.
What is number three?
Number three. I've got two more,
Oh, okay.
and then a doozy. So number three, District 9.
Well, that
Aliens,
was bound to happen.
right? Extraterrestrial aliens. Um,
Yes.
I guess what was it like set in a conference room setting, kind of, and then outside of the conference room they were fighting, trying to take over the world.
Yes, that was a very clever movie. That put Neil Blomkamp on the map.
That movie was very some parts were very intense.
It was very smart though. It was a
Yeah.
very it's just a good movie. And just the whole depiction of like the aliens literally being alien trash, they're in ghettos and slums. Yeah, I
It's
did
like
enjoy that one a lot.
it's like the street version of Predator.
Yeah, but reverse because like the aliens are actually oppressed
Yeah.
and they were disgusting looking.
They were well made for
Yes,
sure.
they were. No, like I said, yeah, Neil Blomkamp, he definitely, as far as a breakout film, that was definitely it. I would have loved to have seen what his new Alien movie would have been.
I was gonna say, is there another like a sequel to it?
I thought that there was going to be, but I don't think it ever got made. I think he ended up making Elysium instead.
Another great one.
It had its moments.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to admit it, usually if Matt Damon's in the movie, it's probably not going to suck.
They're getting the big actors in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and Matt Damon is good. He's always been good. So you had
So
another.
so my fourth one, I steered away from the action a little bit and went towards the comedy side. Couples Retreat. Have you heard of that one?
So don't tell me. Vince Vaughn, Jason
Right?
Bateman, was Cedric the Entertainer in that?
I believe so. When was it Cedric? It wasn't Cedric the Entertainer. It was Faison Love.
Okay,
Yeah, that dude is funny.
kind of understand the confusion. Stature wise, they're similar.
Yeah,
I just keep
and
remembering the kind of the recurring joke towards the beginning of the movie was like Vince Vaughn asking Jason Bateman about his ball cancer.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember the movie explicitly, but I do remember being entertained. It
I
being a
remember watching it like 15 times.
yeah, it's that's a movie I kind of describe as a guilty pleasure.
Right, right. It's kind of like the movie that Faison's in. I think he's one of the main characters in it is Who's Your Caddy?
Haven't seen that one.
That you have to watch that one. It's funny. It's a golfing movie, and it
Okay.
has Big Boy from Outkast,
Oh, okay.
and Andre 3000 plays a part in it, and Faison is like his bodyguard,
Okay.
and there's another guy that's his bodyguard. I don't know his name, but
I think Andre Benjamin golfs in real life. That's I suspect that
that's what I think also.
because he was in another movie with Jason Statham and Ray Liotta called Revolver.
Oh, I
And
remember that movie. That's a good one.
oh, it was a fantastic
Yeah,
movie. I think it was Guy Ritchie directed it.
I
But
do
yeah, there's a
think you're
golf scene
right.
in the middle of it for no reason.
All right, so let's get to I'll call it the worst movie of 2009.
Yes.
And this one, oh, I cringe when I say this name. Me and my buddy watched it, and it's called Triangle.
You know what? I've not heard of it.
Oh man, it literally, if you watch the first 10 minutes of it, you've seen the whole movie.
I hate
Uh,
those.
yeah, it's just they're on a yacht in the middle of the ocean. A sudden strange storm comes out, mysterious storm, and another ship comes to rescue them, but it throws them into like a trance or something where they keep repeating the same actions over and over and over.
So it's a time
And
loop story?
yeah, it's time looped and it's so boring.
You have to be you have to be skillfully bad to tell a bad time loop story. Time loop stories are usually natural slam dunks. I mean, if it's a good script, you can't write a lazy script with a time loop story. But those things are just inherently entertaining if you do them right. They just, I guess, maybe thought they could phone it in.
we were like we were expecting something different, so we kept watching. An hour and a half later, the credits showed up. It didn't have any ending.
So your viewing experience was the literal definition of insanity.
Yes,
Doing the
I
same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
I actually felt bad for the people on the ship.
Well, I'm going to have to look at this one up just to see how bad it is. It must be bad because I never heard of it. But I
Oh,
guess
check it out. Just don't waste your time on it. Like skip 30 minutes and you'll see the same thing as the first 10.
so. I guess triangle is short for Bermuda Triangle.
I believe so.
So if I can go on a bit of a tangent, there's a short film that's a time loop film that I thought was actually pretty intelligent, but it's not from 2009. It's actually from a few years ago, right around COVID. It's called Distant Strangers, and I think it's still on Netflix.
Distant Strangers. I haven't seen that one, no.
The premise is simple. There's a I don't remember the character's name, but he's trying to get home. He has in the morning he wakes up. He's just hooked up with a nice young lady, and he gets dressed and he's trying to go home to go feed his dog. He's got a pit bull at home,
Hmm.
but on his way home he keeps encountering this cop who keeps killing him in different ways. And it's a time loop story, but it's quite obviously a social commentary.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna have to check it out for sure.
It's very well done. I think it's like maybe 20 minutes. But yeah, time loop stories are what should be called the Groundhog Day genre. They're usually pretty hard to screw up. Well, I guess it's my turn.
Let's see what you got here.
Well, I won't take as long, I promise. Because like I said, normally I take everyone down a rabbit hole. But of course, I'm going to go with the biggest film of 2009. It was Dances with Wolves in Space, aka Avatar.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute, they make a second part to Dances with Wolves.
Yes, yes. John Dunbar finds a rocket ship left by aliens, and he blasts off into space. No, uh, but the premise for Avatar is very similar to Dances with Wolves in my mind. The thing about Avatar wasn't its story being overly original; it was just so well done. I mean, obviously, the creating photorealistic CG characters up to that point had never been done. I mean, James Cameron, of course, being James Cameron,
Big fan of his.
yes.
Huge fan.
Every time he makes a movie, he moves the needle. I mean, Terminator was done with like no budget.
Mm-hmm.
He started off, directing, working for Roger Corman, and his first film, I forget how it came to him, was Piranha 2: The Spawning. Which does that sound like a blockbuster film to you? No, it wasn't. It was
No.
not. But everybody knows about Terminator, and then I've talked about Aliens.
And I have
It,
seen all the Piranhas. They're good movies.
then, of course, The Abyss, which I think was a bit. The reviews were a bit more mixed, but he produced the heck out of that movie. Um, there's plenty of stories about things that happened behind the scenes, which are now infamous. So James Cameron has this reputation, of course, for being, and this is common among great filmmakers, not nice guys all the time. So, and there are definitely enough stories about James Cameron being a tyrant on set, but you can't argue with the results. But
Yeah, we have someone that good.
oh, well, I mean, once again, Avatar moved the needle in a big way. You had never seen things on screen before like he put on with Avatar, and he made it so that, he was actually capturing the actor's performance. It wasn't just motion capture, it was performance capture. You were seeing what the actors' faces were doing.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I've got three versions of that movie also.
just and I was not a big fan of I'm still not a big fan of wearing 3D glasses in the movies because 3D it just, looks crappy and most of the time they're just taking a movie that was shot for a regular, 2D screen and then they're enhancing it for 3D. Avatar was shot for 3D and it shows. That movie sold 3D TVs at home. People just watched they
Yep.
wanted to watch Avatar in 3D, so they were buying 3D TVs, wearing glasses in their living room to watch just that movie. So Avatar deserves I think it deserves my top spot just because it was so well directed and produced and polished. And I'm happy to say that the sequel, a couple decades later, did not disappoint. But moving along really quickly,
Hmm.
this next film doesn't have any money, but it does have a unique set of skills. If you don't go to the theater to see it, I will hunt you, I will find you, and I will kill you.
Taken.
What did it? What clued you in? Yes, that was the movie that uh, convinced the world that Liam Neeson, who was already not young by that point, was convincible and bankable as an action star, and spawned how many sequels and
Oh, three. No,
how
two.
how many action movies has Liam Neeson done since then and is still doing in his 70s?
Yeah, I'm still counting on my fingers.
If you ever get a chance to see a really interesting Liam Neeson movie, it's I think more of a drama, but there's plenty of action in it and gore. The Gray.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, I love, and if you haven't, for anyone who hasn't seen it, make sure you stick around after the credits. I do have a few honorable mentions. I'll just rattle them off really quick.
All
Inglorious
right.
Bastards.
You know, I couldn't get into that movie.
I enjoyed it way more than I should have. I mean, and once again, Tarantino with his need to change history. Not the last time he would do that, but yeah, I did enjoy it way more than I should have. Star
Uh-huh.
Trek 2009, which is probably responsible for rebooting modern Trek for, the 21st century, because Trek had all but died on television, and then J.J. Abrams breathed new life into it. And
Okay.
it wasn't classic Trek, but it was fun, and it was action packed, and it was funny. One of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies, Gran Torino.
All-time favorite Clint Eastwood movie, other than The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's classic, but one of his newer ones has to be Gran Torino. Seen it
Yes,
countless times.
old and grizzled Clint Eastwood Gran Torino. District 9 was in my honorable mentions, but I think we said about everything there is to say about that. The Hurt Locker, which won Best Director that year. And then Hachi, A Dog's Tale, which you probably haven't seen.
Haven't heard of it.
It was a based on a true story about a dog, a guy who, he owned the dog. I don't know if
Hmm.
if the story in the movie is accurate as to how the guy came to own the dog, but he like just took the dog home one day, and that dog just loved him. And then one day he went to work, and the dog would always wait for him to come home, get off of the train when he came home. Well, one day he died at work and never came home off the train, and the dog just stayed there at the station waiting for him for the rest of his life.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was,
I'm gonna have to write this one down so I can see it later.
yeah, a bit of a tearjerker. And I'm kind of surprised this one wasn't on your list. Paranormal Activity.
I forgot about that one.
Now
That's definitely a good honorable mention one.
that's a qualified honorable mention for me, because I greatly dislike found footage genre movies
Hmm.
unless they're done really well, and very rarely are they done well these days. And Paranormal Activity is the reason for that, because that movie was so good when it came out, and it spawned I don't know how many sequels, but then everyone was like, well, you can make a found footage movie really cheap, and apparently without any skill. So that's kind of what you got, is a lot of worthless clones. And Paranormal Activity is pretty much the reason for it. Now, The Visit by M. Night Shyamalan is actually a found footage movie, but it's
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I've seen that one. It's really good. It's
And
almost comparable.
yeah, and it actually looks good. It's, they're not just using, I mean, he's M. Night Shyamalan, so he can afford nice cameras.
Mhm.
And the final honorable mention was Invictus.
Invictus. That's a good one too.
Yes, with Morgan Freeman playing President Nelson Mandela. And once again, Matt Damon shows up. But pick number 3 is Sherlock Holmes, the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law.
Okay, so not the older one.
Not, no, not the
Yeah,
older one. So those are my movie picks.
those are strong picks.
2009 was a good year for movies, better than I remember.
There was also a good year for TV shows.
Yes.
So I did the movies to start the movie list. Why don't you start the TV shows?
Well, this won't take long. So I'm going to surprise everyone with this one. American Ninja Warrior.
I still find myself watching reruns of that show.
Well, you can watch new episodes on Monday nights. I don't know if they're airing right now, but they're going to come back soon. So I watch every episode. I know who many of the strong ninjas are. One of my favorite ninjas is this guy named Daniel Gill. Just a class act. But yeah, there's a lot of these guys. I mean, you just have to admire I mean, they're not just athletes. They're elite athletes.
I mean, the agility, strength, speed, everything.
Stuff that if I did that in my sleep while I was dreaming, I would pull muscles.
Oh, we're going to physical therapy after that. That's what we're doing.
But American Ninja Warrior for sure. Number two is Men of a Certain Age.
I've not
So
seen that one.
So it was about like three college friends who just stayed friends over the years and now they're middle aged. And I enjoyed it. It was Ray Romano, Andre Brower, and Scott Bakula.
Okay. Good choices of actors.
Yeah, and they were, just shows them navigating middle age. I remember there was one episode where they all had to get colonoscopies.
What?
And they had to deal with the joy of that. Have you had one yet?
No, no, I have not.
Well, the day will come when you will know the joy that all of us over, I believe the age is 40 now, but it used to be 50.
Although if you eat enough Mexican food, it's an automatic colon cleanser.
Yes. Well, and that's actually the worst part of it is the, cleaning everything out. Speaking of Ray Romano, he joked about, see, nowadays they give you like this liquid that you drink and then, it just basically blows you out. But back in the day, I guess you needed to get an enema or you needed to perform an enema on yourself, which sounds way, way worse.
That sounds horrible.
But Ray Romano, during one of his stand-up sets, is talking about he goes to the doctor to get his examination, and his doctor is like, you did a really good job on your enema. And he's like, well, thanks. He's like, who helped you? And he's like, I didn't have the heart to tell him that I just did it by myself. So he's like, I don't know. The UPS guy showed up and gave me a hand. But Men of a Certain Age was, I don't even know if you can find it anywhere. I believe it only ran a couple seasons, but I would enjoy when that came on every week. And then my honorable mentions are going to be Caprica, which is the Battlestar Galactica reboot prequel.
Prequel.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the show that explained where the Cylons came from. And then there was Warehouse 13, which was a show. Yeah, a show about recovering cursed and charmed and dangerous magical objects. Stargate Universe, I watched in the years since. It's hard for me to not be critical of the show. It could have been better, but I think it went out of its way just to try to be edgy. And it was such a departure from the usual fare of the Stargate universe. But it was like the producers of Stargate were trying to cash in on that edgy, gritty, soap opera-esque feel from the Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Yeah.
The show I did enjoy a lot more was Dollhouse, which was a Joss Whedon show. But that was an interesting show, basically about young people that they were programmable. They could be programmed with certain mission parameters and then believe that they were the person that they are programmed to be. Lie to Me with Tim Roth. It was a show, I think it was based on a real guy, I think, but Tim Roth played Cal Lightman. He was actually an expert on studying people's facial expressions and micro expressions in their body language to determine if they were lying or not. So that
sounds interesting.
Yeah, it was on Fox. Kind of ran around the same time as House did.
Oh, that's a good one. I watched every season of House.
Yeah, that's my wife is contemplating revisiting House and just binging it. It was a good show. But my number three actual pick is one that probably isn't on your radar. Ran for 4 years. It was called Misfits. So
Haven't
Misfits
seen it, no.
Misfits was a British show, and I confess that I watched the whole series, but I did not watch it when it first came out. But it was a British show about these like how can you explain? They were all criminals. They all got like detention,
Okay.
basically a parole. So they all got stuck doing community service. But this freak like electrical storm shows up, and they all get affected by this lightning storm, and all develop superpowers. The thing that's messed up though is some of the superpowers might be cool. Some of the superpowers are really stupid. You know, there was a guy who ended up with superpowers where he would turn into a female version of himself, and
What?
and he actually got himself pregnant.
That's not strange in today's society.
But yeah, it was for its time. The show was shockingly just it was vile. It's it was it was probably inspired by or the inspiration for. It was either inspired by the Boys comic book or inspiration for the show The Boys, because
Okay.
before the show The Boys came out, which has completely moved the needle for anything that you'll see on television in terms of just how gross it is.
Still a good show. Great show. Just don't have your kids around when you watch it.
Yes, it's not a superhero show for children, but neither was Misfits. But Misfits was 2009. So if you can catch it, just and there might be a few familiar faces you'll see on there. Iwan Rion uh, went on to, I think his big claim to fame after that was he was Ramsay Snow on Game of Thrones.
All right.
Robert Sheehan, he's on the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, that's another good show. I think I'm on season two.
There's supposed to be one more season to finish it off. But yeah, but his character on Misfits was gross.
Well,
But yeah, those were my TV picks.
all right. I've got three of them. Um, and more than likely you've seen all three of these. But I'm gonna start off with the Cleveland Show.
You don't say.
I don't say, yeah, it's the a spinoff of Family Guy.
Yes,
Uh,
I know it well. I watched it.
I still don't know why they took it off the air. It was a good show.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say?
So my second pick is Meet the Browns, Tyler Perry.
Yes, I've caught a piece or two of an episode.
Meet the Browns is a very good comedy, family friendly show, unlike The Boys.
Yes.
So my last pick is NCIS Los Angeles. Who hasn't
Okay.
seen that yet?
Yep.
And there's something about shows like this too. They have NCIS like New York or Florida or something like that. All these NCIS shows, it makes me not want to visit anywhere. I'll just stay home.
Well, the cool thing about NCIS is they're not going to kill you unless you're in the Navy,
Right.
or at least NCIS won't be investigating it unless you're in the Navy. Now, you go to New York. I don't think there's an NCIS New York, but there was a CSI New York.
Yeah.
So you go to New York and get killed, and those guys will end up investigating your death. Or
Yeah.
one of the two cops from Law and Order will show up and make some kind of a bad pun over your body.
Dun dun.
I guess he's not enjoying his time in the city. Boom, 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 boom,
Dun
boom,
dun
boom.
dun.
But yeah, you're safe if you're on NCIS unless you're in the military.
Yeah, I mean, LL Cool J will protect me.
The music.
From 2009.
Yes. Well, this is this is your area where you're stronger, so it might be a mistake, but go first.
All right, I got this. Let's see. My first choice is T.I. featuring Justin Timberlake, Dead and Gone.
Okay.
Um, I like the message behind that song. It was telling everyone that, the old me has died, so he's starting over. The following year, 2010, is when he went to prison. That's why he made that song, starting fresh.
Oh, okay.
My second choice is Jamie Foxx featuring T-Pain, Blame It on the Alcohol.
I would never guess that you would pick that song.
That
I've
song.
I've never heard you sing that song.
And I'm a big T-Pain fan, so anything he's on, I've saved it.
So that's
And
two.
my last pick I have is Do I by Luke Bryan. I'm a country fan as well. Well, I
Okay.
mean, coming from Tennessee.
Well, I know that about you too.
Yeah.
Okay, good picks. Good picks. I got nothing bad to say about any of those. So
I'm
might be
interested in what you got picked.
when I first became aware of the Black Eyed Peas, I was not a fan. I don't think that I ever actually became a fan, but I did become aware that they were more talented than I was willing to give them credit for.
So like if you hear them on the
So,
radio, you know their music.
yes, yeah, you do. So, the I think just like a year or two before, um, My Humps came out, and not that the song was bad, but I was not a fan of that song for one reason, because I picked up my at that time very young daughter from school, from Christian school, and I'm hearing from the back seat when the song is on the radio, my humps, my humps, my
My
humps, my
lovely
humps, my
lady
humps,
loves.
my lovely lady lumps. Check it out. I'm like, um, but all that to say that
Literally lost the air in my chest.
my first pick was Boom Boom Pow because there was no talk of lady lumps.
Thank the Lord.
Um, so my next pick is Single Ladies.
Really?
Yes.
All the single ladies?
So put your hands up.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
So yes, Single Ladies by Beyonce. This was another one, just another stupid song that I mean, I'm not gonna say it's stupid, but it was like many hip hop songs, it was a remix.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm not even sure you can consider this artist hip hop per se, but a rapper for sure. That's Pitbull. So 1, 2, 3, 4, uno, dos, cuatro, calle ocho.
Oh, I know that song. I can't sing it, but I know it.
Oh, that's because we don't know Spanish.
Not yet. We'll figure this one out.
No, but Pitbull, calle ocho, I know you want me. And there was a rare occasion that I had the Ellen show on because just so happened to be
Hmm.
on. And she had this thing where I guess she would like to dance on her show. And she she set it up so that she had these like dancers come on the show, and she came in and danced with them, and then she had this whole thing set up where she's just like, hey, you guys want to do that dance that I showed you guys? So she did this choreographed dance number with this dance troupe to Calle Ocho, and
Okay.
it was actually pretty slick. You can pull it up on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll have to do that.
So, but that kind of locked that song into my head because it was just really cool what she did with it. But I mean, as with music, there's always like a wealth of selections.
Oh yeah, and I have one honorable mention. I just thought of this one.
By all means.
Mano featuring T-Pain, All the Above. If you haven't heard it, listen to it.
I have an honorable mention as well. Though it's an honorable mention because we keep it to 3, and this would be 4. But this probably should have been on my actual list.
Same with mine. It should have been like top 2 at least.
So Spearhead with Michael Franti.
I will listen to that.
Say hey, I love you. You know that. I'm sure you know that song.
I'll have to listen to it. There's a lot of songs I don't know the title of, but once I start listening to them, I'm like, yeah, I know that one.
Say, hey, I'll be gone today, but I'll be back from around the way.
I know that song, yeah.
So who knew 2009 ended up being a pretty rich year?
Yeah, for real.
I think we've arrived at the end, people.
Thank you for listening to us.
Absolutely. Looking forward to doing this again next time. So, with that, I'll say X.
Y.
See you later.
Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and spit on that thing.
You realize there's no way in hell that's staying in the podcast, right? Though I'm disappointed that I didn't see it coming.
You gotta keep it, man.
Oh. I will not be keeping that in this podcast and sending it to my mother. Oh dear.
That was dedicated to J-Rock and Stingray.